hello.
Hello, party people.
I can actually hear you better this time.
Really?
I did not hear you as well last time, no.
Okay, awesome.
So I can actually hear you. So I'm hoping this means we did it right.
Yes. We had a bit of technical difficulties, but welcome back.
Yeah, the technical difficulties were we forgot the name of the program we're supposed to use to record this and didn't know where to look for it on the computer.
Yeah. It's
So,
okay. We're new to this, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay. I'm waiting for my parents to tell me if they can hear us or not. I've received a thumbs up from good old Sean McGranahan.
Sean McGranahan?
Sean the programmer, yeah.
Woo! Hey, Sean.
I don't know if you'd like you calling him Sean.
Sorry, Mr. McGranahan.
No, I don't think he'd care that much. I do hope he is listening, because this would be really funny if he was. Hold on, he's texting. Let's see what he says. I hope he can hear us, because it would be really funny if he could.
That would be really funny.
Been called worse. Okay, so I'll take it that you can hear us. Okay.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, would you like to do the opening?
I would love to do the honors.
Go ahead.
Welcome back to Peculiar Happenings, guys. We're your hosts, Lee
And Shelby.
Woo!
Yeah.
Show number 2.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Yes, Halloween. We have decided, since Halloween is next Tuesday, that we're going to talk about some Halloween stuff as it's relevant to Stranger Things a little. Because Halloween is my favorite holiday, as anyone who's ever met me might tell you.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm very excited for it. And Stranger Things and Halloween, it's like 2 of my favorite things put together.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
Exactly. Shelby, I just want to say, I think any of your friends, I think at least for me, meeting you, you just emanate Halloween in the best way possible.
Thank you. I try hard. I work hard to make this house a home.
Oh, yes, you do. And you make it work. You make this house a home.
Yes, thank you.
As you should.
It's so fun. Yeah, that's the 2 vibes we've got in the studio. We've got Spirit Halloween and Pickle Jar.
Yes. I am wearing my Pickle Jar sweatshirt today, guys.
Which is going to get real warm in that, Lee.
I know.
I feel like I should have given you fair warning.
I know. I forgot how small this room was.
It gets real warm.
It is very tiny. And I have my sleeves rolled up. But, I'll survive.
Yeah, it's because it was warm last time we were here, and it wasn't like 69 degrees then.
Well, last time I was wearing a Patagonia and my flannel. I had 2 layers on.
Yeah, but it was also cooler then.
It was cooler then. Today it's been very hot.
Yeah, it is.
Which is odd for the fall season.
I don't like it. I don't like the fact that it's been like 70 degrees. But anyway, okay. Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Season 2. That's the Halloween season.
It really is. I know we just recently restarted watching season 2.
We haven't made it all the way through.
We have not. We have to finish that.
Yes.
I know we've been slacking recently. We haven't gotten up.
We've been busy.
We have been busy. Classes have picked up, but we have to get back to our weekly scheduled
we can watch more
program.
tomorrow if you want.
I'd be down.
After a certain time, I'll be sad. The only thing I might be doing tomorrow is seeing like Great Comet at 7:30, because I helped make costumes for that, so I feel like I have to see it. And also, it seems interesting enough. So
I heard it's really good. So
it'll be interesting, I think, because it's like audience participation.
Oh.
So
That's
I hope
fun.
I don't want to do any audience participation.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna sit somewhere where I hope.
Avert your eyes.
Avert my eyes.
That's what I do in class
I'll pretend I can't
sometimes.
hear them. I'll stare dead at them and just not respond. Yeah, exactly. All right, so season 2. I feel like it's interesting that they decided to start with a season set that starts with Will disappearing in like winter and holiday time rather than Halloween, because I feel like Halloween, that's how you get the max spooky factor.
Oh, for sure.
That's where you get the good sort of, you get the autumn vibes. It has an air of mystery.
I know they do say, I think in season 2, they mentioned that the anniversary's coming up, but I guess that doesn't make sense, though, because in season 1, he goes missing, and then by the end of the season, it's a month later, and it's Christmas. And
so maybe he went missing sometime early to mid-November.
That would make sense.
And then if it's Halloween, when it eventually does get to Halloween, it's the last day of October, it would be getting closer to that.
That would make sense. So that's definitely the timeline. I love season 2 with the setting.
It's so fun.
It's so fun.
I also love season 2 because that's when we see Max get introduced.
Exactly.
And Billy, but we don't
Mad
like
Max.
Billy.
We don't like Billy. No.
Billy's a jerk.
I mean, some people definitely like Billy. Yeah. I hate to admit it. I liked Billy at one point or another.
Yeah.
But I think in early high school, I was very much a red flag kid. Like, I was attracted to that red flag. And
I can fix him.
I can fix him. No, you can't. Okay, guys, let's be honest. You cannot fix him. And I mean, the only way he kind of got his redemption arc was through death, unfortunately. But that was
Yeah.
definitely planned. But Billy,
Yeah.
I mean, you see him try to run over the kids in season 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like as much as you think like he might be attractive, I feel like the fact that he did try to run over a bunch of like 12-year-olds
Yeah.
should be
On
like,
bikes,
okay,
minding their own business.
Maybe not this one, guys. Steve's right there. Calm down.
Steve's
Right there.
I mean, a lot of people actually like have shipped Steve and Billy.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of fan art out there for those two.
Oh.
There's actually
That's
been
a
an
different
emergence
level.
of the 3 of them, Steve, Billy, and Eddie. Yeah.
That's a different level of Stranger Things fan. That's different
Yeah.
from that's too deep into the fandom even
No,
for
yeah.
me.
That's different from
Yeah.
our show, guys. That is much different from what we have.
It's not even a fanfic. It's just an alternate piece of media at this point.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's not at all what the show's about. I mean, Billy was long dead before Eddie
Oh.
even was introduced into the show.
I mean, people can do what they want, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm not going to hate them for that. However, do I think that's a bit strange? Sure.
But, shh.
Yeah. But, okay. What was I going to say? Season 2, because we get Billy and we get Max.
Yes.
I love Max. Max has got to be one of my favorite characters. And again, I've said this before, I really do love all the female characters in Stranger Things. Because they're all so well-rounded. They're not just like 2D characters, which with actual 80s media, that's oftentimes what you get. But no, they're like, here, we've got this experimented lab girl that has psychic powers. And we've got this, like, almost tomboyish, like, skater girl from California. And I'm like, yes, this is fantastic. And then it's like, we've got the popular girl who just, like, her first response to danger is to start shooting. And I'm like, yes,
Oh, yeah.
that's incredible. I love that. Good job.
I know. And then we have that repressed queer energy coming through with Robin in
Oh, yeah.
season 3.
Oh, yeah.
I love the representation. All the women, you're so right. They're they're such strong
and Erica,
characters.
too. Erica, too.
Erica.
If Erica was the main character, there would be, like, 1 season and 3 episodes of Stranger Things.
Can't smell America without Erica.
That was so good. She started as, like, kind of a background character. We first see her in season 2, I think. And then she gets a bigger role in season 3, and then not much of a role in season 4. But she's so fun, and I do hope we get to see more of her.
I really hope we do. I think they'd play off each other well. Like Dustin and Erica played off each other very well.
They're so good. They're so good because they're both smart, but in different directions. You know, Dustin is smart in a way that's like, gosh, why doesn't everyone else see this? Where Erica's more like, you guys are all stupid. I'm smart. Listen to me.
Exactly.
And I love that for her.
Exactly.
Let's see what I was going to say. We've got notes here. Let's consult.
We have all the notes. I think season 2 works so well in the spooky season, especially because it has that like spooky like level to it.
Yes.
You have Halloween that's already in like a very good.
The spookiest time of the year.
Exactly. It is where all the hauntings come out. And so it's so easily set in that that other spooky era, I guess. You know what I mean?
It works very well with the strange happenings in Hawkins.
It really does. And then you also have the conspiracies and everything that comes out in season 2.
Because, yes, that's when Murray's introduced, isn't
Yep.
he? Or, because he doesn't have an appearance in season 1.
He has a split second. It's like a split. He walks in, and I didn't know he was in season 1 until I rewatched with my mom recently over the summer, and he comes in for 2.5 seconds, and he says, what are you giggling at?
Sorry, I'm just looking at text messages. When we were talking about Billy, I get a text from my mom that says, I liked Billy's pants, heart emoji.
as she should, though.
Thanks, Mom.
Real.
God, that's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
Okay, what were you saying?
I mean,
Sorry.
he slayed that. He slayed that fit.
Okay, objectively, it was a cool outfit.
Oh, for sure.
But it would have been cooler if it wasn't on a guy that, like, really hated kids and, like, tried to commit a prosecutable felony.
Real. And he was telling his sister to avoid this, like, this great guy. Like, Lucas was such a good guy.
He was racist, absolutely.
He was so racist.
He was just so incredibly racist.
It's just like, oh my gosh. I was trying to think my train of thought. Oh, yeah, you have Murray in season 1.
Yes, we were talking about Murray.
And he starts with another conspiracy because he's the one coming in saying that the Russians were coming in and that there was a Russian kid.
That was, I thought that was the beginning of season 2, I think.
Was it the beginning of season 2?
It was the beginning of season 2. So I remember it was, we have Hopper leaving 11 in the cabin and he goes into work. Because I remember the scene with the secretary. It's like, he's eating a donut. She takes it out of his hand, gives him an apple.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think it is the beginning. I love Murray. I love that man.
He's so fun. I love how he sort of started as, like, crazy conspiracy side quests that was helpful with, like, the side quests to, like, flying into Russia with Joyce to break Hopper out of a gulag.
gotta love him.
Mm-hmm.
He gives such great energy. I
He's
love
so fun.
in season 4 when he pretends to be, what was his name? The guy who flew the helicopter in the plane.
It wasn't
stuff.
Alexei. Alexei was the guy in season 3.
It wasn't Alexei. There was another guy, but
I
he
know who you're
pretends
talking about.
to be
I
him.
forgot about him.
Yeah. I love that scene. It's played off very well.
It's so good. It's just so fun because I feel like Murray's the wild card.
Oh yeah.
The writers can be like, by the way, Murray can do this for this reason.
Yeah.
Because like in the same season, they're like, by the way, he's a really good cook, and by the way, he like can do karate.
Live, laugh, love Murray.
I know he's such a fun character because is I think that's all the characters that are introduced in season 2, other than
And Bob.
Bob too. Bob.
Rest
a moment
in
of
power,
silence.
Bob.
Rest in power. So sad.
Oh, that poor man.
I know.
That poor man. He wanted to build a home. He just wanted a home for his girlfriend and her kids. He just wanted to be there.
Oh, I've got another text from my dad. Billy was a villain. Eddie was vilified. That's good contrasting for your information. I'm like, that is true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
That is very
Which
true.
I think that was a very perfect way for them to introduce, like, the sort of satanic panic aspect of the 80s.
Oh, for sure. Because they're playing D&D and they're all like, oh my gosh, they're summoning demons.
It's the D&D and the heavy metal.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this satanic music. And I asked my dad about this, and he was like, yeah, no one was, like, worshiping Satan or anything. We're just like, this music is really good, and we like it. I was like, yeah, that seems about what it is.
It speaks to my soul.
Yeah.
It's saying what's inside, you guys. You don't understand.
Yeah.
I know. I feel so bad for Eddie's character and everything that happened because this poor guy is sitting here just trying to help this girl who's coming to him being like, hey, I need help with this. And so he tries to help her, but no one wants to believe that this cheerleader is trying to buy drugs off of him.
Was he trying to sell her drugs and make a profit?
Yes.
But at his core, it's the thought that counts.
It's the
he was a
thought that
decent
counts.
guy.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Eddie, we love Eddie.
Yes, he was such a good character, and I know a lot of
So
people want
good.
him to come back, but it wouldn't make sense.
I don't think he will.
That's the thing that Stranger Things is good at keeping to, which is that every season you've got a definitive character death that there's no coming back from.
I know, and that's
Except
why I'm
for
really
Brenner.
afraid.
Brenner was the exception.
Because we never saw him die.
Yes, that was sort of a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah,
But
that was kind of like I feel like you just think he dies, and I don't think you definitively see him die.
No, it's from what I remember, I don't think you actually see his death on screen like you do with a lot of the other characters.
Yeah, and so that was their loophole.
Yes.
To keep him.
Yes.
And the only way that Eddie would come back in any form is if maybe like Vecna like almost
reanimated him
to control his body,
Yes,
almost,
'cause
or to have a body.
I have seen the popular headcanon that because in the D&D lore, Vecna has a right-hand man called Cass the Bloody-Handed, who is someone that he killed and then brought back to life under his control and command. And that's where the popular concept of like, oh, Vampire Eddie comes from.
Yeah. And I mean, that would be so cool.
That would
be
cool.
so cool.
That
and
would be cool.
they do follow the lore very well. Like with the Mind Flayer and the Demogorgon and all these things, they kind of name them based off of the D&D lore. So there's potential, but I think it's more...
I don't think it would make sense.
I don't think it would end up happening. And I don't think they have the time to do that either.
Yeah. And I was going to say, his death does make sense. Because, I mean, we said we were going to talk about season 2 today. We're getting off a little off track, but I'll finish up my thought, which is that even if he had survived, like, what would have been waiting for him? An entire town that thought he was a serial killer and wanted him dead just because he liked D&D and listened to heavy metal. There was, as much as I hate to say it, it makes sense because there really wasn't a way for him to get out of that.
Mm-hmm. I think you have a really good point, and I think that's why in the end he did sacrifice himself in that sense of he got on the bike and was trying to be a distraction.
The entire town wanted him dead.
They wanted him dead anyways.
Thought he was responsible for all the murders.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, he was the scapegoat for a lot of people. But I think this point can loop back to season 2 is the fact that we wanted to talk about popular, like Halloween costumes of the Stranger Things cast.
Yes.
And we did make a list of every season that
sparked like a very popular costume that you go out on like Halloween night and see everywhere.
Exactly.
Like I think of it as like the Harley Quinn effect when Suicide Squad came out.
Oh yeah.
Because you walk out and like every teenage girl was dressed as Harley Quinn.
Yeah. I dressed up as a clown last year. Not really dressed up. I did my makeup as a clown because I wanted to play around with my eyeliner, and I used all the Harley Quinn sounds on TikTok when I made videos about it. They were very cringy, but it's okay.
If you're having fun, it's fine.
Exactly. But I think Eddie, we talked about that we think Eddie and Chrissy are going to be the two most popular costumes this Halloween.
Yes. Well, I mean, and probably last Halloween too.
Oh, that is true.
I always forget that the season came out like a year or two ago.
Yeah. It's been so long already.
It's been so long already.
Oh, no.
The years have gone by in a flash. But no, because I was going to say, yes, I think Chrissy and Eddie, very popular costume choices, I think.
I know my sister's going as Chrissy this year. And I think it'll work well because she has like the long, dirty blonde hair.
Yes. And that's a pretty easy costume too. Even if you don't buy it, you just get like some sort of a sweater, like a cheerleader skirt, ponytail.
Yeah, you could go on Amazon and search
like
cheap cheerleader costume
yes.
and just get it in yellow. I guess yellow is an accent color, more like white and green, and then maybe paint like a little symbol on it or something. And there you go, you have a Chrissy costume.
Exactly. Eddie would be harder to do, I think, just because the battle vest was very intricate in the way that it had a lot of band stuff on it. So that might be hard to recreate. But you could always just have like a normal jean vest or something.
Exactly. But there's been some dedicated cosplayers out there who have nailed the fits.
I've seen people. There's someone on Instagram I follow called Maddie Danger who's super cool. She's like got trad goth style sort of combined with like metalhead.
I think I know who that is. I think I know who you're talking about.
A hearse.
Does she have hers? Am I thinking the same person?
I think I saw her. She like made a replica of Eddie's battle jacket.
Oh, that's so cool.
Very intricately.
I was a camp counselor a couple of summers ago, and one of my campers had a Hellfire t-shirt, and one of the days at camp, they recreated the outfit. Oh, that's not the person I was thinking of, but they're really cool. Yes. I knew someone else named Maddie who's done cosplays. They've done a couple like Jedi cosplays and stuff, but it was a different Maddie.
I see. Okay.
But I had a camper who dressed up as Eddie, and they wore the it was the summer it had come out. It was 2 summers ago, and they had the Hellfire t-shirt, cut up baggy jeans, and they had, I think, a flannel tied around their waist and stuff like that. They just gave the aesthetic of Eddie. It might not have been 100% accurate with, like the battle vest and jacket and everything, but it gave his essence, if you will.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's so. Sorry, I got distracted by a blinking light on the switchboard.
I was wondering why you started staring off. I was like, did something happen?
What's that? No, I just saw a blinking light, and I was like, whoa, I wonder what that means. Anyway, back to the train of thought.
Happens.
So season 4, absolutely, those are the most popular costumes, because I don't know what other costumes there might have been, other than if someone wanted to go, like, full out and do Vecna.
I think I saw an Argyle online at one point.
Yes, Argyle. That does seem popular. I was going to say, I saw someone do a cosplay of Max from season 4 before, with someone who looked like Billy. They were doing a Billy cosplay.
Ah, nice. Nice. I feel like Max is another one. Specifically, Max from season 3 was very memorable, I think, for people with like the
stripy shirt and like the shorts. It was very summer camp-esque.
It was very summer camp 80s. Like the big red sunglasses, I think she wore at one point. Yes. That was very popular.
That was such a fun season.
That was a fun season.
I loved Max and Elle bonding over being like the only girls in the party. And Max being like, listen, no, you got to stand up for yourself. If he's not treating you right, you dump him.
Pop off. And it's funny because in season 2, they didn't like each other because Elle was jealous of Max because she thought that, Mike was having a thing with her. But no, she just didn't understand that people could be friends.
That's a classic trope that I don't really like, where it's like 2 girls fighting over the same guy. But to be fair, Elle, she gets a pass. She grew up in a lab.
That's very valid.
She didn't know any better.
She had no social norms.
No, absolutely.
She was not prepared.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of season 3, I was like, I couldn't think of any other popular Halloween costumes from season 3, but then you said Scoops Ahoy.
Scoops Ahoy.
Now I know that was a popular one.
Oh yeah, it's still popular. It's still all over the internet.
It's such a fun like buddy duo costume.
Oh, it really is. It really is, because each outfit, they're the same, they match, but they're also slightly different in the outfit. And I think, too, you don't even have to order. I know you can order the outfit online, but you could easily recreate it with a striped T-shirt, a pair of, baggy
like a sailor
shorts.
suit and a hat that maybe you just get like a sticker and slap it on, or you could even freehand like paint it.
Yeah, for sure. Or like puffy paint, something like that. God. You could easily throw that together DIY.
Listen, I've told myself that next summer I have to end up getting a job, because I didn't get around to doing it last summer, but I need money.
It's okay.
I said this summer, if I end up working at an ice cream place, I'm just getting it through. I'm just like, it's just like I'm working at Scoops Ahoy.
Scoops Ahoy.
It's just like Scoops Ahoy.
What does he say? There's a popular line Steve says. And I was going to say it, and now it's not in my head anymore.
Well,
it
the
left.
only one I can think of, are you ready to sail with me on this ocean of flavor or
Yes.
something like that?
He goes like, ahoy, ladies, or
Ahoy,
something like
ladies.
that. Yeah.
Are you ready to set sail and explore this ocean of flavor with
Yes.
me?
I love him so much.
He's so funny. I love the transition of Steve. We've talked about Steve so many times.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a good character. I love the transition of Steve from like popular, kind of a jerk rich kid to the absolute loser energy he brings in season 3.
I love him because even in season 2, he kind of has that. It's that in between arc where he's kind of he's still
a nice guy. He gets
soft
developed.
boy.
Yes, he gets developed more beyond the sort of persona we see in season 1. Because again, that's the season where it's like there's the whole thing with Nancy. They have the fight. They kind of break up. That's the season where he first gets involved with the kids and like helps out Dustin with the dart.
Yes.
Another reason we love season 2.
That's
when Steve first comes into the equation as a stressed mother of 5.
A stressed mother of 5. Mm-hmm. What a soul. Mm-hmm. There's this amazing meme I saw based off of season 2. And it was Joe Keery. I think that's how you say his last name.
It's Joe Keery,
okay.
yeah.
I'm just making sure because I mix up last names all the time.
Yeah.
But Joe Keery, he's standing there. I think he's offset, but he has a phone to his, he has like a phone held up and he's on the phone with someone and his hand's on his hip. And it's like, you know how the memes have like the writing on top and it says, you know what, Marka, you know, my son said that this happened and I know it did and your son's a bad influence. And he was going off and it was so funny because it was just like, it was so accurate to what I feel like would happen. Just in canon world or head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
absolutely.
Like,
Steve,
I love it.
He's somewhere between like an older brother figure, I think. And like, again, stressed single mom of 5.
Yeah, for sure.
I
love him.
So good. Which, by the way, I think he and Nancy, when they went to the costume party in season 2, they went as like a costume together, and I don't know what their costumes were.
I don't know what their costumes were
I think
either.
it was a reference that has now been lost to time. So hold on, I'm going to search that up. Really
Search
quick.
it up. I went as Steve last year. I went as season 2 Steve.
I remember.
Because we went trick-or-treating last year.
I had a very thrown together witch costume.
It's very valid, though. Very valid. It was very last-minute plans. And that's why I did the Steve outfit because I had just this one blue, like, solid top. And I just threw a jean jacket over top and a pair of sunglasses. And I was like, I'm Steve Harrington. My hair was long enough and poofy enough that I could kind of go with it. It's a lot shorter now. So I don't know if I could actually pull it off. But I'm not going as Steve this year. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I was told I could pull off a really good Alan from the Barbie movie.
You could. It's the red hair would be perfect. You would just have to like get the outfit.
Exactly. And I have shorts that would work for it. I just need a button up.
That'd be perfect. Hold on. So I'm looking. It says Joe Keery or Steve is dressed as Tom Cruise from Risky Business.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And it said they went as Joel Goodson, Tom Cruise, and Lena from the 1983 comedy. The wealthy high school student and the prostitute he hires the weekend his parents out of town. What a cute couple's costume.
What a cute couple's costume. But honestly, it checks out for the two of them at the time. But I just feel so bad for him. He tried. He was trying to be there and supportive. And I don't like that Nancy in season 2 definitely blames him and says, oh, you didn't care about Barb. You're saying we should ignore it. And he's like, no, but we just went through this traumatic time in our lives and we should just try to exist. And also they couldn't tell everyone. They couldn't go around and yelling just like, hey, the government is like bringing in these creatures from another dimension and it's kidnapping children and killing people.
Exactly.
Like, no.
And at the same time, I do think that's a perfectly valid response from Nancy, though, because she's just gone through like, this immense trauma and like upheaval of everything she's ever known. And you can't tell anyone. She can't tell her best friend's parents that she's not missing, that she was killed by a creature from another dimension. And I feel like season 2, in part, also, again, makes it so much sadder because, again, her parents don't know.
Yeah.
And that's when we see Murray come in, and there's the implication that, like, in order to afford paying Murray for investigating their daughter's disappearance, they're having to sell their house.
Yeah, and they're eating, in that scene, they're eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, and, just out of, like, the container, which obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but it seemed like a very interesting thing to order that and eat it, and so it was very much, I think...
The implication that maybe they didn't have enough on-hand money for anything else.
Yeah. Exactly. I do feel bad for Steve, though, because even though I do think Nancy is a bad bee and we love her,
we do.
I feel I feel bad for how it was handled. And she put, I think Steve for her was like another example of a scapegoat where she put all that anger towards him and then left. But I think it's just because she wasn't happy with him anyways.
Yeah. And again, immense trauma. No,
sure.
like, counseling services in the 1980s. The only time we see some of that is season 4.
And even then, it's the school counselor. And,
Yeah.
you know, I know my school guidance counselors mostly handled schedules and scheduling things like that. It wasn't as much mental health as much.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, honestly, yeah, because, I mean, I never, like, talked to a school counselor in high school. And, again, so the only stuff was, like, scheduling and, like, college applications or whatever.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know if you could have just gone in and been like, hey, I need to talk about stuff. I'm upset. I mean, I'm sure you could have.
Yeah, you definitely could. I know we had a school psychologist, but they never showed that resource until I think it was my senior year. I realized that we had one, and I went down and talked to her because I had stuff going on at the time, and so we talked, and I remember wondering to myself, why hadn't I done this so much sooner? Like, it helped me so much, but I know also it was the 80s, and I feel like it was not as... Our generation is definitely a lot more open about mental health.
Yes, I do think our generation is probably one of the first generations that has been sort of more serious about mental health and acknowledging, like, yes, it's a thing that's important, and acknowledging, like, mental illness and stuff, too. That is something that a lot of people, probably most people, suffer from in some way, and that it's good to seek help and assistance if you need to.
It really is.
Which I think I would argue most people need to.
Yeah, especially all the characters in the show.
Oh, especially all the characters in the show. This is not related. There's a collection of clips from a commentary of one of my favorite 80s, like, horror movies. That's just called, and it's a quote from the actors describing the movie, because it's an actor's commentary. That's just called Candidates for Therapy. And I think that perfectly describes the Stranger Things.
I love that so much. You don't even know.
It's so good. It was the name of a commentary on, I think it was Bride of Reanimator, which was the sequel to hit 1985 movie Reanimator.
Yes, we have talked about this.
Which is a very particular interest of mine that I will not get into detail here because I just will start talking about it and never stop. I have a lot of feelings about this movie. It's great.
That's valid.
It's one of those movies that's so bad it's good, you know?
Exactly. We will watch it sometime and we will talk about it.
Yes. It's so good. But anyway, okay, back to Stranger Things.
Back to Stranger Things, to the regularly planned.
Oh, we never finished talking. Well, now we're back to season 2, so it works.
Yes.
Because we never finished talking about most popular costumes. Season 2, I can't think. There's no costumes that, like, pop to mind like the other ones.
No, definitely not. I feel like the only one that could potentially would be Billy.
Yeah.
But even then, season 3 was more popular for that.
Yeah, and I feel like season 1 and 3 have the most iconic costumes. Season 3, you got Scoops Ahoy. Season 1, the classic shaved head, bloody nose, pink dress look for 11.
Exactly. I think, too, that just kind of loops back around to the idea of season 2 being so underrated. I think a lot of people didn't like it, and I think it was just because it was similar enough to season 1 that it gave a difference, and I think people were just kind of like...
They were hoping for something exactly the same as season 1, maybe.
But it was definitely very different, and season 3 then was completely different. Yes. People didn't unlike it. Like, people still loved Stranger Things, and it was still very popular by the time season 3 came out. Yeah. But I think it just kind of, it was different. It was a very different vibe than all the other seasons, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think we've talked about this before when we were watching it.
Yeah.
And I said, I think a lot of what I've heard, at least, is that a lot of people didn't like when 11 went to, I forget what city it was. I think, was it Chicago?
I think it was.
She went to Chicago and met up with Callie and her gang. And I think a lot of people didn't like that because, I mean, on the second rewatch for the first time in a while, Callie is very clearly being sort of manipulative to 11, trying to use her ability to stay with her so that they can carry out the hits on these former lab members.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that it was kind of necessary for expanding the world, for showing that, hey, there are other people from the lab that made it out and are alive.
Exactly.
And are doing their own thing. And I guess the reason I would think a lot of people didn't like it is because it did feel a little less grounded in reality than season 1 in the way that it felt kind of like comic booky. It felt a little cartoonish. It had like the vibes to me of like the Killjoys comic. I don't know if you've heard
that. I don't
know
that one.
It's a comic series by Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
It was very. It did feel a little cartoonish, I think.
Yeah,
I definitely comic booky.
I think so too. I think it's just also a very diverse group of characters that are so different from the characters we have back in Hawkins.
It kind of blows you away because you're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, and I think too with Callie, her character is important, and Stranger Things is not known to have a bunch of like loose unanswered questions. They do everything for a reason. So they wouldn't have just thrown that episode in as a buffer or a filler episode. I feel like there had to be other evidence, and even if that is just to show, hey, there's other kids out there, because even that could show us evidence of the fact that Vecna is also has these abilities and is a person who was in the labs, because he is, and they were definitely, I know they had the whole thing planned out from the beginning, basically, of where they knew they wanted the show to go.
Yeah.
So it definitely, it shows that. And I think there's potential that they might bring her back.
Yes, because like you said, they don't leave loose ends. There's not loose ends. And I think, I'd say the way that Elle and Callie parted isn't a loose end. It's only a loose end in the fact that this is a character who's introduced and we haven't really seen anything of since.
Yeah. And she's very different from the characters we had before, because she also is more vengeful, and everyone else back in Hawkins was all about, saving the people they loved.
Yes.
But she, who grew up in this lab, who was taken, who was definitely older than 11 too, so she was more, instead of, maybe just being born, she was taken and went missing from another family, potentially. And so then she remembers that, and she grew up in this lab after that, and then has this hate because she was older. And 11, too, doesn't remember a lot of the stuff because, as we saw, as we got to season 4, that all her memories were basically taken from that after her battle with 1. And so, like, she lost all that.
Were they taken purposely, or was it just like a trauma response?
I think it was a trauma response because she used so much of her power that it kind of just, she woke up and didn't remember anything.
That makes sense.
It just kind of all fizzled out.
That makes sense.
And so she didn't remember Callie or any of these people that she'd been a part of or anything with 1. And so I think, too, like, having Callie there shows that a little bit and shows that there was a past that 11 doesn't remember. And I think, too, because she's different in the sense of her, like, vengeance and wanting to, I don't know, get revenge on these people that wronged her, it was very different. And people just didn't like that as much. But I personally don't mind that episode because it's kind of fun. You got this like range of characters that's really fun.
You've got like this ragtag group of mercenaries.
Oh, yeah. They're in a giant warehouse, and it's very grunge, and it's very kind of punk, and I like that.
It is. It really was fun because it was a representation of another 80s like subculture that we hadn't seen before. Because let's be real, Hawkins, Indiana is a small Midwest town that we wouldn't have been able to see there.
For sure.
So, and I do think it was cool, and I do think it was necessary because that was a way that Elle was able to level up her powers to the point where at the end of the season she was able to close the gate.
Yeah.
If she hadn't gone to Callie, someone who also had powers, she would not have been able to do that, I think. So that was also a necessary facet.
And then we wouldn't have got that amazing look at the end. I love that look.
It was, I was so good because I've seen people say that they wish we saw more of that look from her, and I agree just because I think it was really cool.
Yeah.
But I think it also makes sense because in each of the seasons, we've seen Elle trying to find out who she is. Season 1, she just dresses in whatever Mike gives her.
Yeah.
Season 2, dresses in whatever Hopper gives her. And whatever Callie gives her. Season 3 is the first time I think we get to see her have a little more choice in what she wants.
Yeah.
Because again, that's the whole point of the shopping trip with Max. Max
exactly.
is like, what do you want? What do you like? And she likes the bright colors. And then season 4, Mini Joyce Byers.
Mini Joyce Byers.
I think it was the haircut.
For sure. And then we kind of get that roundabout at the end where she kind of is back to square one, where she starts over because her hair's all buzzed again and she's kind of wearing her own clothes, but it's still a lot more toned down. So I hope to think that we get a bit more 11 having a bit more of a character arc, like Steve, like where she finds herself a bit more, or like Nancy, or all these characters that have grown. Because I feel like she's the character, she's kind of the most flat character, I think, out of all of them.
The sort of the least fleshed out personality-wise, but also...
It's because she's in a lab.
Yeah, that's intentional. She grew up in a lab. She doesn't know, she doesn't know who she is. And that's what a large part of the show is about, is her trying to find who she is. Exactly.
We love 11. Even though she is partly one of my lesser favorite characters, she's not my least favorite character. And I don't think I really have a least favorite character, even though, obviously, I do not support anything Billy did or anything.
No,
I don't have hate. Just trying to see what else we had. Oh,
That's
yeah,
so
another
ridiculous.
fact of season 2 that's very Halloween is the pumpkin patches and stuff that we had. And we talked about that because, it showed you the small town and brought that in. You had the two old men feuding.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I know he poisoned my pumpkins.
Oh, he poisoned my pumpkins, Hopper. You got to go find him. You got to argue with this man. You got to arrest him. And then he goes, and then that guy's pumpkins are dead. And that was kind of when Hopper started realizing, hey, something's not right. And then the scientists were like, we're not doing anything wrong. We're burning and killing it. But it was just growing underground, man. Which then you get that cool scene with Hopper getting lost underneath.
In the tunnels, yep.
So that's kind of...
Cool. And I think you mentioned that fall was the perfect time for that to happen too.
Exactly.
Because fall, it's when things are starting to die. So everyone's like, oh, okay, maybe it's just something weird going on fall time. Because if the rotting of the pumpkins happened in like spring or summer, that would have been like a red flag.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a red flag anyway, but it would have been even more so.
And pumpkins they're such a big part of Halloween for people that if those start dying and that's part of your livelihood. Like I know back home, I have someone at home who grows pumpkins year round and spends, thousands of dollars on pumpkin seeds and planting and taking care of them. And he gets all that money back from the pumpkins that he has and that he sells during the time.
Yeah.
So if your livelihood goes down like that, you are worried. So of course you're going to bring that to your chief of police. Yeah. Which it might seem kind of silly and mundane to us, but it makes sense for a small town 80s farmer.
I want a whole side arc about these two farmers actually.
Oh
They
yeah,
clearly got some major beef. If this guy's pumpkins.
I want a full
dying.
comic series of these two.
Because they do elaborate on a lot of stuff in the comics.
I need to read those.
Maybe there's a lot of them, but I would say it is worth it. They have one specifically about Robin, which is pretty cool.
I love Robin.
They've got.
She's
like.
I feel like Robin is one of my favorite characters.
I must agree. Agree.
She's so good. But see, this is season 2.
Yes.
We're not on season 3 right now.
We're not to Dearest Robin yet.
Oh, we are not. But we also have the costumes that the characters wear. The
Yes.
Ghostbusters arc is beautiful.
I love the Ghostbusters.
It's beautiful.
That's so cute. I should watch Ghostbusters again. I'm doing a Halloween movie watch list because I've got the Halloween movies I've already watched, but I'm also making my way through movies I haven't seen. So I'm gonna probably finish Nightmare on Elm Street when we're done because I started that, and that's actually pretty good. That's better than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be kind of like cheesy B movie quality, but no, it's actually pretty good. I've started watching The Shining earlier this week because I'm doing a research paper on the treatment of women like horror movies, and The Shining is one of what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I also really like The Shining. The Shining is very good because I feel like sometimes when you hear so many people say, "Oh, this movie is really good, you should watch it," you're like, I don't know, maybe it's kind of overrated. When actually sometimes it's like, oh no, it's actually just good. It's actually just really good.
Exactly. I haven't seen The Shining. I was going to watch it last year around this time, but I got too nervous and decided not to watch it because I am a scaredy cat, which is surprising why I like things like Stranger Things. But when it's more supernatural, it doesn't bother me. But when it's hauntings, like ghosts or troubled characters that it's more human-esque, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Dolls, I cannot do creepy dolls.
I was going to say The Shining very much is it's a combination of ghosts, but also the human characters are deeply troubled. Because you can tell from the very beginning, I was watching this and I'm like, oh, this Jack guy, he's got some stuff going on.
He's not right.
He's not right.
Nope.
Yep.
There's something wrong here. But I feel like, too, you have those, back to the show, we have the characters in these costumes that are very classic costumes, like the Michael Myers mask that comes back.
Oh, that was so good. I love that. I did love that.
Exactly. But then we also have, I feel like Stranger Things has become such a big thing for Halloween. Like every Halloween, people are dressing up in costumes. There's the decorations.
I saw on Instagram, I think it was either last year, I think my mom sent me the reel. It was someone had a whole setup of like the upside down, and they had like a Max figure floating in there, and it was
so cool.
It was incredibly well done.
That is so cool.
I was envious. My goal in life is to be the person that everyone knows for having like these grandiose, amazing Halloween displays.
You have the house, like the one house on the street that goes all out for Halloween. Every year it's like based off a movie or a show, and you do a whole theme of it. That would be amazing. You'll have to send me photos every year. You could do that.
Absolutely. Listen, if I get a house and I'm able to put all these Halloween decorations out, trust me, I'm gonna be sending everyone I know pictures.
Oh, as you should. As you absolutely should. But I just love Stranger Things so much, and I think it does connect so much with Halloween, and it is Halloween time. It's, it's spooky season, and it's Halloween weekend. I know I'm not doing anything really, but, everyone else is going to be going out and dressing up. I'm just going to be chilling. Really? There is a Monster Mash going on, though, that I will be working. So
you're going to be working?
I am going to be working it.
I'll see. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll go because I know
I think you should come.
maybe I'll stop by because I would have to figure out my costume and stuff though because I've got like a classic 1930s black and white Frankenstein's monster costume. I'm doing about like white face paint and black and white hairspray, and I need to test it a lot to see how it looks, to see if it works.
I can help you if you need help.
I think I'll probably test it with Leanne sometime. But thank you.
That's
I
valid.
do appreciate the author. The author.
The author.
The author is what I meant to say. No,
Whoa.
but I was gonna say because we're gonna see my brother, his band Lobotomite. They have a Halloween show in Buffalo.
Oh, I remember talking about that because I saw him when he was coming back from Spirit Halloween, and he had a Jesus costume.
Yes, because he originally. Do you want to know what happened? We're getting a little off track here, but it's Halloween related, so still have it. So I went home for fall break, and that's where we got a lot of stuff from my costume from the Spirit Halloween at home. I loved the vibes in that Spirit Halloween, by the way. It smelled like weed. Probably a third of the employees were stoned. That's the dream. That's the dream.
That is the dream.
Working at a Spirit Halloween, maybe a little high, but anyway.
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But I was going to say, so we're getting all my stuff. We're about to check out when Logan calls. We're in the checkout line. My mom's like, Logan, what's up? And she's like, we're in the checkout line. We'll go look. He called us asking to see if they had a Freddy Fazbear costume in an adult size. Because they only had them in kids' sizes at the Spirit Halloween here. So we're looking around. We ask an employee at one point, and the employee thinks the costume is for me, and he looks at me and he goes, maybe if you got like a large or an extra large, you might fit. I'm like, no, the costume is for my brother, who's like this much taller than me. He's like, oh, no, yeah, that wouldn't work. So I guess Jesus was the second choice. That's such a funny and that's such a Logan choice. It is costumes. Such a Logan choice. He's like, I'm gonna be Freddy Fazbear, and if I can't be Freddy Fazbear, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. Is he the Holy Spirit? No, he's the Son.
Isn't he?
No, because it's the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit.
Are they different? I know. I know the Father is God. Okay, we should get on.
I didn't go to church enough to tell you about this.
Me either.
We don't know the religion lore. We're not qualified in this. Let's go back to what we are qualified on.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
The thing we're here to do.
Yes. Okay. Did we write stuff on the back?
We did write some stuff. Okay. We did some extra stuff we could talk about.
Yes. Let's see.
I guess we already talked about our favorite thing, Halloween. Sort of. We talked about like costumes
we did
and like
talk about all this stuff already, which is perfect.
Which is awesome. You know?
Yeah. I was gonna say.
What episode are we on for season 2? Are we
We're
on
getting close to the end. I think if we watch some Stranger Things tomorrow, we might be able to like finish it.
Okay. Because I think we have 2 or 3 episodes left.
Yeah, we don't have a lot left.
Okay. Because we do need to finish it before it's not too far into
like November.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we can, but, you know, if we want to stick to the spooky season time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to say, you know what we could do, too? Because I said we could just watch all seasons out of order that correspond to whatever season we're
I'm
in.
down for that.
So it's season 2, then we go back to season 1. It's going to be so weird going from, like, season 1 to season 4.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see them at their absolute youngest to their absolute oldest.
That's crazy.
It's going to be so crazy.
And I've only watched season 4. I feel like people are going to hate me for this. I've only watched season 4 and, like, the parts once through.
I watched it once through fully, and then I watched it again, but skipped the parts with like Eddie and the gang back home.
That's valid.
Because Eddie was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
he was so silly.
I think I watched technically the first part twice, but it's because I watched the first episode and a half, but then I had to go to work at camp, and, you know, I wasn't able to really watch it there, so I came home, and by the time part 2 came out, I just rewatched part 1 to make sure I remembered, and then watched part 2. But that was the one time I really sat through and watched it. But it was just so much. I think my brain needed the year and a half to kind of wrap around it, even though I love it and I love talking about it.
It was a lot going on at once, because because you had the party split up entirely, which as a DM, even though I haven't done D&D in quite a long time, sadly, it's so hard to manage.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you had the main storyline going on in Indiana with like Steve, Robin, Nancy, Max, and then you had Will, Mike, Jonathan, Eleven, and Argyle over in like California. Were they in California?
Yes, they were.
California, yes. Because they played California Dreamin' at one point.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And then you've got then even from that you've got Murray, Joyce, and Hopper in Russia.
Yes, in Russia. That was really cool. I did like how they did that. I wasn't expecting them to bring that in at all.
Oh, yeah.
I think
everyone kind of knew that Hopper probably wasn't dead.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a beloved character.
Because they also never... that's another example where they never showed the death.
might still be alive, which is disproves the theory that Eddie's going to be coming back. Because we did see his death in brutal and very sad fashion. Although I still do think it's funny that I saw someone say that, like, Dustin told his uncle that he died fighting. Fighting what? An earthquake? 'Cause that's what everyone thinks it was.
Yeah, because everyone's sitting here
I think we talked about this last
earthquake.
time, but I still think it's so funny. It's worth mentioning again. Bro died just punching the tectonic plates of the earth. Yeah.
Stop. Don't vibrate like that.
Yeah.
Don't ruin the earth.
Stop tearing apart. Just trying to force, like,
I know
the
science
breaking ground back together with his bare hands.
I wonder if then the uncle's going to come back into it more. Like, I wonder if he's going to play a part instead of Eddie.
That would be interesting.
Because if they don't want to bring Eddie back.
They did talk to him about Creel.
They did.
Yeah, because remember, I think that was who Nancy got the information from. That was, there's a guy around here that, like, killed his entire family.
That episode did freak me out a little bit. Because when it showed him, like, it insinuated him, like, you know, doing the thing that he did to his eyes, I was like, oh my gosh. Because I have a thing about losing limbs. I don't like it.
That's a bit much.
And I remember sitting there and I had to look away for a second. I had to breathe. And then I looked back and watched it. I was like, okay. I can do this now. I can survive.
It was I think it was I think the format for this podcast is we start talking about one specific thing and then just end up talking about everything else. Because I was just about to bring up season 4 again, where, like, I think the reveal with Vecna was very well done. Although we got to a certain point in the episodes where my dad was like, I think I know who this is. I think I know who he is. And I was like, well, who do you think? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you. And we got to a certain point in another episode and I was like, oh, do you think it's this guy? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yo, that would be crazy. There's one specific thing that made me, like, connect the dots, and I can't remember what it was, but there's one specific scene or one specific moment where I was like, oh my God.
I'm okay at guessing things. My dad's always been better at guessing the plots than I am, but he never watched Stranger Things. He didn't really like it. My mom is watching it, though, so I can't wait to see her reaction, which I want her to watch the podcast, but I'm also like, don't watch the podcast until after you finish it, because we're just talking about the whole thing.
Yeah, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. No. It's like, because we'll talk about season 1, and then we'll immediately jump to, like, and then this character died in season 4.
Yeah, I know. I remember I was sitting with, it was last semester, I was sitting with some people, and I remember bringing up the fact, like, I can't believe they killed Eddie. I was like, I knew they were going to, but I was hoping they wouldn't. And then she was like, Eddie dies? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And she goes, nah, I didn't even watch season 4. I don't care. And I was like, oh, you made me feel so bad for spoiling this, like, major plot point. And then you were just pulling my leg the whole time.
Yeah.
I felt so bad, but at least I didn't actually spoil for her.
Yeah. Because to be fair, I feel like at a certain point, if you're, like, interacting with stuff within the fandom, at a certain point you are going to find spoilers.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I have a funny thing about Eddie's death, actually, before, like, because I know we're getting close on time, but
that thing was just full of laughs.
Full of laughs, you guys.
So silly, goofy.
No, it just shows my personality. Okay, so after I loved Eddie, I loved him so much, and I love the canon about Steve and Eddie, and I know a lot of people don't like that one, but you know. It's kind of one of those things where it's kind of like harmless. I'm like, you know, I'm going to like this. But, you know, my sister doesn't like it, and we argue about it sometimes. But I've stepped back and be like, I'm not going to argue about this because she likes the idea of Eddie and Chrissy together. But I'm also like...
See, I think that would be cute just because you've got, like, the popular, like, quote-unquote normal girl. But at the same time, Chrissy was, like, 17 and Eddie was, like, 20.
Exactly. And at the end of the day...
There's a bit of a weird age gap there.
Yeah.
I think they would have... Now, listen. As best friends...
Oh, for sure.
As in, like, a Steve and Robin dynamic?
That would have been great.
Absolutely.
That would have been amazing. Platonic soulmates?
Listen, I kill for, like, the weirdo, like, outsider being friends with, like, the popular normal person. I kill for that. I love that so much.
It's very much the grumpy sunshine, like...
Yes, it's a
like
it's a good juxtaposition. Good foils.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the energy that Steve and Robin bring.
Yes. But this is my really embarrassing thing. I really liked this one song that came out that someone wrote about Eddie's death.
What song is? I don't think I've heard of this.
I'll show you after.
Okay.
But it's a song that ended up getting a lot of hate, and I didn't realize because she wrote it, and she's saying it's basically about after Eddie's death, and it's like Dustin and Steve, you know, they're playing D&D. They really miss you, and, like, it was your year. Like, it was very silly, and a lot of people didn't like it. but I liked it, and I didn't know people were hating on it.
Oh, did they not like it in general, or was there specific stuff they didn't like?
They just were like, this is so cringy. People were actually hating on her and saying, like, you should never have been allowed to write songs.
Whoa.
And I'm like, she's just writing a song about a fandom she likes and a show she likes, leave her alone.
That's incredibly harmless,
Yeah.
I think. Even if you see something and you might think it's kind of cringy, if it's harmless and it's bringing someone joy, don't stop the cringe. Kill the part of you that cringes.
Exactly. It's the one, I don't know if you know it, but it's like the Eddie Baby one. It's like, Eddie Baby.
I don't know that one, I'm afraid.
Okay, I'll show you after.
Okay.
I just remembered the lyrics. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember it. But I was at camp all summer, so I wasn't on my phone or TikTok or the internet as much because I was at a summer camp in the middle of nowhere.
The one remix I do remember is someone made the song, the Chrissy Wake Up.
Chrissy, wake up. I don't like this.
Yeah, that one was pretty fun, and that was, honestly, that was well done.
That was well done.
Did I get sick of hearing it everywhere after like 2 weeks? Yes, but I will respect the craftsmanship.
I will respect it. I loved that. But anyways, I got a lot of hate when I told some of my friends back home that it's like, I found this really cute song that I really like from the show about Eddie. I sent it to them. They were like, what are you talking about? That's terrible. No one likes that, and everyone's making fun of it. Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean everyone's making fun of it?
I think if there is something genuinely, like, make fun of a bowl, like, one of the things I like to make fun of, and not in a bullying way, in a this is insufferable way. Yeah. Like, most of them are satire, ironic, but all those, like, alpha male posts.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started.
Here's how to be an alpha male. It's like, ha, you're funny.
It's a nail over
you're
here.
Funny. Just a couple of alpha males. God.
I love those.
It's funny because know there's people that unironically are like, yeah, I'm an alpha
male.
I'm a business major and I'm an alpha male.
I'm going to make millions of dollars one day.
I'd say apologies to any business majors listening, but I don't think any business majors are listening to our Stranger Things podcast.
To peculiar happenings at 8 o'clock at night.
Nope. No, sir.
Nope. But I liked the song. I feel like she did nothing wrong. Yeah. She was sitting here. She was just making a song about a character she liked, Yeah. If you don't like it, move on. Yeah. Don't hate on her. She was just making a song she thought was good about a character she liked from a show she liked.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so many people do that.
Yeah, I know, but that's the basis of the internet in general. Someone does something harmless, and you've got 70 people being like, "This is the worst thing ever. You should leave the country."
Yeah, they're like, "You shouldn't exist," and it's like, "What the heck?"
And it's like, well, that's a bit of a severe reaction, isn't it?
Like, okay, calm down. Mm-hmm. No one asked you. Respectfully.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be happier sometimes if they just put down the phone. Go read a book for a little. Maybe
go read a book.
Go for a nice
walk. Go touch some grass.
Go for a nice walk in the woods. Maybe chew a leaf or two.
Grab
a
maybe
leaf just right off the tree and take a big bite out of it, which I've done before upon prompting by my friends.
That's valid. Yeah. I've done it. I've eaten grass before. I've tried it. Oh, yeah. It's not as good as the goats make it appear to be.
I remember one time in elementary school, it was like right before lunchtime, we were in gym and we were outside, and I was really hungry, and I was like, well, cows eat it. And I took some grass and started to eat it. I was like, that's not good at all.
No, exactly.
You see like cows and stuff eating, this again, off topic, but you see cows and stuff eating grass, and you're like, that looks pretty good. That looks like a nice, refreshing salad. Exactly, and then you eat it, and it's just disappointment.
It does, and I mean, green is such a nice, vibrant color. I mean, it looks like so full of life. Like, I'm just like, oh, it looks good. I mean, the cows eat it, goats eat it, like deer eat it. Can't be that bad.
But again, we're also very different from all of those creatures.
That's valid. Yeah. I mean, we're so used to all, like, the artificial sugar flavors. I mean, I bet, like, if we were years in the past or if we didn't have those flavors, grass would be the best snack in the world.
Well, to be fair, we're also not made for eating grass.
That is valid.
We're omnivores. It's okay. Okay.
I'll eat grass if I want to eat grass. Okay. Just kidding. I don't want to. It's not very good.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to, is this a good stopping point, do you think?
We probably should. We went a bit over, but that's okay. We were a bit late to start.
We started late in the first place. That's probably just how it's going to be. We get in, we forget how to do stuff for 5 minutes, we remember, and then we run in here and start talking.
We will go write down the program so we don't forget, and so you guys can have this beautiful weekly podcast.
Yes. Because that is why we were a little late today. We went into the room to start the recording, and we're like, what was the program called?
Do you remember what one we had to press?
It was Adobe something.
Adobe something.
Yeah.
We start searching it. It doesn't come up.
Yeah, we figured it out.
We did.
We fiddled around.
We fiddled a bit. And I don't remember what the fiddling ended with, but we'll figure it out again.
The program is still open. Cause it's
that's
recorded,
valid,
so
'cause it is recorded.
We'll be fine. We'll be
fine.
All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode of Peculiar Happenings.
Yes, it does. All right. Signing off.